They called him the man who knew the coast before anyone else could see it. The man whose hands could draw a line so perfect that the sea itself seemed to obey it. His name was Isaac Hale, though almost no record of him existed. In 1761, in the sleepy harbor town of Newburyport, Massachusetts, he appeared as if from nowhere. Some said he had washed ashore after a storm. Others claimed he was an English deserter. No one knew, and Isaac said nothing. He walked the docks at dawn, sketching the shoreline with meticulous care, drawing every inlet, every hidden rock, every dangerous sandbar that could sink an unwary ship. The townspeople tolerated him, respected him, even relied on him when their merchants needed safe routes to navigate the treacherous waters. But what they could not understand was the way Isaac remembered. He could sail past a cliff once, never revisit it, and yet reproduce it on paper exactly as it existed, as if the land itself had whispered its secrets to him. It was during one of these quiet mornings that the HMS Vigilance arrived, a British schooner sailing without flag or crew, its sails torn, its deck scorched. When townspeople approached, they found most of the crew dead, some clutching weapons, some burned as though touched by fire without flame. The only clue, other than the bodies, was a half-burned map in a leather cylinder, an uncanny survey of the New England coastline, extending from Cape Ann to the mouth of the Merrimack. Isaac recognized the linework immediately. It was not his, and yet it mirrored the style he alone could produce. When asked if he knew the map, he merely said he knew the coast, but not that particular hand. No one believed him, and soon after, Isaac vanished. His cabin was empty, his tools gone, his hearth cold. He left behind a mystery that would draw British authorities, local revolutionaries, and even secret societies into a pursuit that spanned years and would uncover secrets far older than the colonies themselves. Isaac reappeared months later in Boston, drawn to a city alive with whispers of rebellion and underground societies. It was there he met Lydia Bell, a merchant's daughter connected to learned circles, Benjamin Church, a physician whose loyalties would later shift, and Anthony Hopkins, a naval cartographer. Together, they discovered that Isaac's father had been part of a secret British expedition in 1741 to investigate strange magnetic anomalies along the coast, anomalies that pointed to something massive, metallic, and ancient buried beneath the sands. A mysterious blue light had destroyed the expedition, killed his father, and left Isaac with a memory of something he could neither explain nor forget. Maps found aboard the Vigilance belonged to Edmund Harrow, a man who had apprenticed under Isaac's father and now hunted Isaac to finish a mission begun decades before. Harrow was clever, patient, and deadly, leaving messages only after striking, mimicking Isaac's line work and tracing every path Isaac might take. To survive and uncover the truth, Isaac allied with the Lantern Society, a clandestine group of scholars, smugglers, and scientists who had long studied unexplained phenomena along the New England coast. They armed him not with muskets, but with knowledge, compasses that detected magnetic distortions, journals from forgotten explorers, brass instruments to measure vibrations beneath the earth, and maps showing indigenous pathways aligning with the shadow line, a perfectly straight metallic structure buried under the coastline, unseen and unexplained. Isaac learned that Harrow had already reached Cape Cod, seeking the shadow line first. Riding south from Boston, Isaac and his allies felt the weight of history pressing against them, knowing that the discovery beneath the sands could shift the balance of power, could ignite wars, could change the course of nations. Every mile closer was fraught with danger. British patrols, rival mapmakers, and the unforgiving coastline itself. Isaac's mind became the instrument, the maps their guide, and every shadow a potential threat. As they approached the hidden coves south of Cape Cod, where the shadow line supposedly rested, Isaac's party discovered subtle anomalies,
compass needles spinning without reason, faint vibrations under their boots, and small iron deposits that seemed unnaturally arranged. Harrow's presence was near. They could feel it in the air, a predator stalking its prey. Every step toward the shadow line brought revelations and horrors, remnants of past expeditions, skeletons of sailors long missing, artifacts that should not exist, all testifying to the age and scale of what lay beneath. Isaac Hale, the man who had once walked Newburyport docks unnoticed, now became the focal point of a conspiracy that spanned the ocean, centuries of secret knowledge, and the ambitions of empires. Every map he drew, every decision he made carried weight beyond comprehension. And yet, for all the danger, he pressed forward, knowing that the shadow line held secrets not just of metal and earth, but of human ambition, fear, and the timeless drive to uncover the unknown. By the time the sun rose over Cape Cod, revealing sand dunes and marshes glistening with morning dew, Isaac and his companions had reached the first markers of the shadow line. Hidden under centuries of silt, obscured by shifting tides and the passage of time, the structure appeared as a faint metallic glint beneath shallow water. It stretched farther than the eye could see, straight and precise, as if some ancient hand had laid it deliberately across the coastline. The air vibrated with energy, almost musical in tone, as if the earth itself was humming a warning. Harrow was near. Isaac could sense it, though he did not yet know where. He realized that to uncover the shadow line fully, to reveal its secrets, they would have to survive not just the natural dangers of the coast, but the cunning and ruthlessness of a man who knew him better than anyone alive. Every decision, every map stroke, every calculation mattered. And as Isaac studied the faint glint beneath the water, he understood that the story of the shadow line was far older, far stranger, and far more dangerous than he had ever imagined.
Isaac Hale and his companions skirted the edge of the marshes, the water lapping softly at their boots, the fog curling like ghostly fingers around the dunes. Every sound was amplified, the call of a distant gull, the snapping of a twig underfoot, the quiet whistle of the wind. But most of all, they felt the tension in the air, the invisible gaze of Edmund Harrow somewhere beyond the mist. Isaac's heart beat steadily, not from fear, but from the acute awareness that centuries of secrets, dangers, and hidden knowledge converged here beneath these shifting sands. The first traces of the shadow line revealed themselves as faint metallic ridges under the shallow tide, barely visible, but undeniably there. Isaac knelt, running his fingers along the sand where it met the strange glint. It was cold, unnaturally so, as if the metal absorbed the chill of the Atlantic night and held it in memory. Anthony Hopkins bent beside him, adjusting a compass that quivered wildly. "This is unlike anything I've seen. No iron deposit behaves like this naturally. It's deliberate, organized, and enormous." Isaac nodded. "It predates the colonies, perhaps even the Vikings. Something laid it here with knowledge of forces we barely understand." Lydia Bell scanned the horizon, her hand resting on the pistol concealed beneath her coat. "Harrow will be close. I can feel it. He's watching, waiting for the moment we reveal the location."
Isaac closed his eyes for a brief moment, picturing the coastline in his mind as he had seen it years before, committing every curve, every hidden inlet, every irregularity to memory. That mental map would guide them now, because Harrow had already used the physical maps to track them. Isaac needed an edge. They moved carefully, marking points with small flags and shallow stakes, each one representing a subtle shift in the metallic line beneath the sand. Hours passed in near silence. Occasionally, the tide shifted abruptly, revealing more of the line or covering it again, as though the Atlantic itself sought to protect the secret. The fog began to thin as morning approached,
revealing the dunes and shallow pools that hid centuries-old anomalies. It was then that they heard the first sound, a low hum, almost musical, vibrating through the sand and water beneath their feet. Benjamin Church staggered slightly, placing a hand over his chest. "What is that?" Lydia asked, her voice tight. Isaac kneeled, pressing his ear to the ground. "It's the shadow line itself. The metal is aligned in such a way that natural currents and electromagnetic forces interact with it. It produces a resonance. I read descriptions in my father's journal, but I've never felt it." Hopkins stepped back. "Resonance? Are you saying it's alive?" Isaac shook his head. "Not alive, but aware. It reacts to energy, movement, the presence of humans. It is a system, older than the settlements, older than any map, and Harrow will use it if we are not careful." The group pressed onward, navigating across the dunes and shallow tide pools. By midday, they reached a section where the metal was exposed enough to examine directly. Isaac knelt, brushing the sand away, revealing an intricate lattice of interlocking plates, perfectly straight lines and precise angles. It seemed engineered to endure centuries beneath shifting sands and tidal forces. Lydia gasped. This is impossible. Who could have built this?" Isaac's eyes were fixed on the lattice. "That is the question. My father believed it was a remnant of some advanced civilization predating European contact. The Royal Society theorized Vikings, but neither theory fits the scale or precision. Whoever built this had knowledge of forces and geometry that we cannot comprehend." Suddenly, the sound of distant footsteps echoed through the fog. Harrow. Isaac froze, signaling the others to lie low behind a ridge of sand. The footsteps grew closer, deliberate, unhurried, confident. Then a voice, calm and cutting, broke the quiet. Isaac Hale, still chasing shadows. Harrow emerged from the mist, his coat damp from the tide, eyes fixed unwaveringly on Isaac. In his hand he held a replica of Isaac's own compass, modified, sharper, ready. "You've studied it, memorized it, drawn it, but the line belongs to me now. Every secret your father uncovered, every anomaly your maps recorded, belongs to those with the courage to claim it." Isaac stood, holding his own compass. "It does not belong to you. It belongs to knowledge, and if you touch it with greed, you will not survive what it protects." Harrow smiled, a thin, knowing smile. "We shall see. The shadow line does not forgive hesitation, Isaac. Neither do I." The wind rose, whipping sand into their eyes. The metal lattice beneath their feet hummed louder, vibrating through the ground as if sensing the confrontation. Isaac felt a wave of recognition in the resonance, the line responding to their intentions, aware of their thoughts. Without warning, Harrow lunged forward, throwing his compass at the exposed metal lattice. It landed and sparked, sending a small shockwave through the sand. The hum intensified, a vibration that rattled their bones. Lydia fired a shot to distract him. Sparks and metal shifted as if the shadow line itself was reacting. Isaac leapt forward, pressing a hand against the lattice. He felt energy surge through him, a tangle of magnetic forces and vibrations that his mind instinctively mapped. He guided the group to the nearest safe area, moving with precision that only he could execute. Harrow followed relentlessly, undeterred by the strange pulses that emanated from beneath the sand. Hours passed in a tense dance across the dunes. Isaac guided the group along a pre-planned path, each step calculated to avoid triggering the dangerous energy in the lattice. Harrow, relentless and cunning, mirrored their movements, always one step behind, but always adapting. By late afternoon, Isaac found a narrow channel where the lattice dipped under the tide. He gestured to the others. "Through here, quickly! This section will shield us from direct resonance." They slipped into the channel, wading through cold water, sand sucking at their boots, fog thickening around them. Behind them, Harrow cursed under his breath. He paused at the edge of the lattice, clearly aware that he had underestimated the connection between Isaac and the shadow line. Emerging from the channel, the group found themselves on a small, unmarked island of sand and tidal pools. Isaac knelt, tracing the lattice's outline with his fingers in the water. "We are close," he whispered. "The main segment lies just ahead, buried deeper, protected by centuries of silt and ocean currents. Once we uncover it, the secrets it holds will become clear." Lydia and Hopkins exchanged glances, understanding the gravity of what lay ahead. Benjamin Church, ever cautious, adjusted his jacket, fingers brushing the journal Isaac carried from his father. The stakes were no longer theoretical. Every moment, every misstep, could unleash forces that none of them fully understood. And somewhere beyond the mist, Harrow waited, patient, determined, knowing that the shadow line's greatest power was not in its metal or structure, but in the mind capable of controlling and understanding it. Isaac Hale had that mind, but would it be enough? The sun began to sink toward the horizon, painting the misty landscape in shades of gold and red. Isaac gazed at the endless line beneath the tides, aware that history, knowledge, danger, and ambition converged here. He whispered under his breath, more to himself than anyone else, "This is what my father died for, and I will see it through." As the last light of day faded, the shadow line hummed faintly beneath their feet, a reminder that some secrets are eternal, some forces are ancient, and some truths can only be revealed when the right person dares to follow them.